everyone, and welcome to Record Sport Towers. Good Friday. I hope you're having a great Friday.
Happy Easter, Gavin.
Happy Easter. Good Friday. Hopefully it's a great Friday. Now, Craig.
Yes.
I actually have got the fear when Michael Gannon, big shoes to fill, sitting in this seat.
Well, there'll be no Japanese proverbs this week.
No, well, that's the thing. And I was actually sitting there earlier and I was thinking, I mean, I like to just keep it simple. I thought, what would Michael Gannon be doing this week? He normally sitting there and I see him typing away and chuckling to himself. And I think, what's he going to come up with? So
Are you calling me simple?
So I thought, no, I like to keep it simple. I thought, I'm going to give it a bash. What would Michael do? I thought, it'll be as outrageous as I can. He always loves these puns. So here we go. Artemis 2 is in orbit as 4 astronauts head to the moon. It comes as FIFA have been blasted over their astronomical World Cup ticket prices. But Steve Clarke's star is falling after a couple of friendly defeats in preparation for this summer's tournament. And by the time this podcast is finished, I'll bet a few people describe us as a couple of rockets in the comments. But the sun always shines when Craig Swan is about. So thanks for joining us this week. What do you think, Craig?
Oh, sorry, you finished?
Is that good? Sorry.
Yeah, great. Yep, brilliant. Well done, Gavin.
Michael will be proud.
Well done.
I'm cringing.
Michael, where are you?
Proud. Anyway, my name's Gavin Berry. I'm joined by Craig Swan. And first up, a shout out to our brilliant sponsors, NordVPN. NordVPN provides you with privacy online, leaving no digital footprint by hiding your IP address. It's like wearing an invisibility cloak online. To get the best discount off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/GameOnPod. Our link will also give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan, and there's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description box. Okay, how's that?
Outstanding, Gavin. Outstanding.
Michael struggled to get his place back here,
on the bench.
On the bench. Anyway, Craig, International Week, obviously, but we're straight back into domestic action this weekend. There's loads happening. Ryan Stevenson, Record Sports columnist, a cat amongst the pigeons. He says Hearts are 2 wins from the title if they win their 2 games prior to the split. They'll go on and become the first non-Old Firm team to win the title in 41 years, is that right? Yeah, 41 years. So they play, you're going actually away to Rock Bottom Livingston and then home tomorrow.
Yes.
Do you agree with Ryan Stevenson or do you disagree?
I love Ryan's enthusiasm. He's fevered for this. He really thinks Hearts are going to do it. I totally understand where Ryan's coming from. I think the point he's making is the way that there's players returning for Hearts, as we all know, we've documented it, we've spoken about it a lot. I think his point is if Hearts can win these next 2 games, they'll be even stronger by the time they come to the split fixtures. The momentum, everything could just carry Hearts through if they can just keep their foot on the pedal right now. It's such an important, listen, it's been important times for weeks and months, but it just feels like it is because Rangers are kind of touching at the back there, with the prospect of going top. If they beat Dundee United on Saturday, and then Hearts will have to answer that, and that was the point that Ryan made. If Rangers do win, he says, I hope Rangers do win. That's what he said. Because I want to see how Hearts react. Hearts react, come out, win the game, and then beat Motherwell. A lot of people are not sure about Motherwell at the moment. Maybe just lost a little bit of form. I can't agree with him that it's 1 if they win the 2 games. However, I totally understand where he's coming from. I think if they win the games, they are banging pole position.
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to him on Hotline Live, and he backed up his point. Well, saying these games are almost more important than the ones going into the split. But let's be honest, if Celtic and Rangers both won their 2 games also, and you're going into the split, and the gap is just as it is, that's when the hard work starts. Let's be honest. That's
absolutely.
But that's when that's the point of the season that everybody has said Hearts are not used to when it gets into that run, and that's where certainly Celtic. I mean, no Rangers not they haven't been involved in that many. Obviously, going back when the title race was a close run.
I do agree with that, Gavin. But I would say one point. I mean, we talk about if you use Celtic as an example, use Celtic as a club. But a lot of players on that squad haven't been there either. Guys like Sebastian Tenetsky and these players, they've never been in a title race. There's loads of Danny Roll's team haven't been involved in it, or the ones who have been involved in it haven't won it.
No, that's true. Good point.
I don't think that's something to put too much storing. Listen, Hearts and Rangers are going away.
Yeah.
It's pouring the rain outside.
Yeah.
They've decided they're going to take themselves away to sunnier climes.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I said the sun always shines when you're here, Craig. That was one of my great puns.
Yeah, I know.
Great puns.
Do you think? What do you think? I think it's not a bad idea. What do you think?
Well, it's great for the guys if the media are invited. It's a great idea. I don't know if it'll be you.
Those days are long gone.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
it actually takes me back, Craig, to Steven Gerrard and Rangers. I think that's where Rangers fans will have a wee bit of fear. I remember actually going to Tenerife in Steven Gerrard's first season, mid-winter break. They collapsed when they came back. The following year, he took them to Dubai, I think.
Yep.
Came back and collapsed.
Yep.
They then didn't go the third season. There were COVID restrictions, but they had a huge lead over Celtic at that point.
Yeah.
They didn't go away.
Rangers were about 200 points clear.
That's
Gavin,
right.
they could have gone to Timbuktu for 5 days.
And if you
still
remember,
won.
Celtic actually did go away.
Yeah.
They went to Dubai.
Look how that turned out.
That was the infamous trip when there was pictures of the players lying at the pool. And they were about 17 points behind. They said, why are they even going away?
It's just a mental thing,
There was
isn't
no
it?
need to go away. They went away and then they came back and players had got COVID, didn't they? And they played Hibs on the Monday night and they had to...
There was all sorts.
But if we look at the two, I don't know. Steven Gerrard, as he would at the time, said it had nothing to do with going away. Can it do any harm, really? I don't know, a bit of sun on your back and
Probably not. The only thing I would say is I think if you're Derek McInnes, if it was me and Derek McInnes knows a whole lot more than I do, I'd be trying to keep it as normal as possible.
Yeah.
And you kind of take them away. You're almost like building this up into.
Yeah.
But maybe that's what he wants to do. Maybe he's actually trying to make them realise how big this is.
Yeah.
Because managers often say, I want to try and take the pressure off it, and I want them to play the game and not the occasion. Maybe Derek's thinking, I want them to realise how big this is. Let's make this special. Lads, we're going away for a break because you know what we're coming back to. Maybe that's the plan.
Yeah, and of course, well, I don't know, what do you think? I mean, back in the day, they would have been probably allowed a wee night out, a bit of team bonding. Do you think that would even come into it?
Well, it's team bonding these days.
few-
Pilates sessions and I think the days of having 10 pints are long gone.
You think they would have? Well, I mean, Derek
A few
McInnes-
games of golf and stuff like that will probably
Yeah,
be
they'll get a night out.
glass
so
of wine
they're
with
here
their
down,
dinner,
no?
a couple of glasses of wine with their dinner on the first night when they get there or something. But
You don't think that on one of those nights that they're all away that he'll just say, right, on
I don't
you
think
go,
so.
a few beers.
I don't think you
just
can.
Go for it.
Do you know
No?
something? I don't think you can these days because it only takes one character with a camera phone.
Yeah.
Catches everybody out. Whether it's Hearts or Rangers,
They'll
and
be-
then they don't win the league, and then it's you were away, blah blah blah, doing this, that, and the next
They'll
thing.
be in La Manga or something like that. They'll be tucked away somewhere, like a
They don't make camera phones in La Manga, no.
private room. Well, they do, but what I mean is they'll be away from prying eyes, no?
I just I think about a couple of glasses of wine after dinner, and then a wee bit of golf, and a wee bit of this, and a wee bit of time together,
Yeah.
and just some nice weather for training, and that's fine.
But do you not think
Mental refresh more than anything else.
But do you not think that could be beneficial?
What?
Like doing that, saying to them, like, just let them off the leash one of the nights, and just saying, on you go and go to a few bars.
I'm not against it. I've seen enough teams do it and be successful, but don't know whether how much football's changed. Is that the type of thing players do now? I don't know.
The team that drinks together.
That's what they always said. That's what they always said. And we had countless examples of it working.
Yeah. Or is it wild water swimming now and walking up Conic Hill? No.
Water swimming.
Let's not go there. In fact,
Russell Marlin.
was Craig Bellamy not involved in an infamous incident at one of his clubs? Was it Liverpool? No, were they not away in a break? No.
Oh, yeah,
How
was
did the golf club thing came about? No, was that not? Did that come from there?
Yes, it did. I'm trying to think
Is it
who
John
it was.
Arnorisa?
John Arnorisa, it was
Yeah.
indeed, yes.
So anyway, that takes me.
Altercation in a hotel corridor, I believe.
That just brings me nicely into
Watch
Craig
for,
Bellamy.
watch for legal affairs here. We're not entirely sure whether Craig took a 7-iron to the Norwegian's head or not. We don't know.
That brings. Did you like the way I linked those two
I did like
questions?
that.
Yeah,
I did like
There's
that.
no way Michael's getting back here. Right, Joel Edley says Craig Bellamy would be a perfect fit for Celtic. Do you agree? Of course, Wales out of the World Cup.
Is that a
losing.
wild swing, Gavin? Is that
Sorry?
a wild swing?
Wild swing. But do you think? I must admit. Let me just say, every time I listen to Craig Bellamy, it's fascinating to see how different he is from when he was a player. Although I want to back that up by saying, or at least the perception of him as a player, because we don't know him. Maybe he was, somebody who thought more deeply about the game. He had this reputation.
That's what I remember. Chris Sutton's obviously our commentator, and Chris was there when Craig Bellamy was at Celtic, and he said there was a real misnomer about Craig Bellamy. He said he was an incredible trainer.
Yeah.
It's one of the first ones in, last ones away. He did, the standards that he set, he was a real workaholic.
Yeah.
And training. Yeah. And subsequent things that I've read say he was pretty similar in the majority of the clubs he was at.
Yeah.
Listen, your question is he the perfect fit for Celtic? I don't think there is a perfect fit for Celtic, to be honest. No. Craig Bellamy comes into the category as young. It would be an ambitious move, let's just say, because there is no major club experience on his own.
Yeah.
So that right away is a massive gamble. But you have to listen to the way he talks about how the Welsh team are going to play and his philosophies of playing. And I know fans get up in arms about this, about systems and philosophies and blah, blah, blah. But you do listen to the Wales players and they seem to want to run through walls for him. Yeah. He's really got them all on side.
He's a straight talker as well. I could imagine that he just would be... I think he would be someone that players would want to play for.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
He's obviously had this time. He worked under... He was at Cardiff City's academy, and then I think Vincent Kompany took him to Anderlecht. He was worked under Vincent Kompany, the 21s.
I mean, he's certainly been in enough big stages as a player and working in the background coaching, so he knows that kind of stuff.
But do you not think a lot of the time that's how that's... I know you're talking about having been at a big club, and how many managers it's difficult for Celtic to go. I mean, Ange Postecoglou,
don't you? Ange Postecoglou with loads of experience. Brendan Rodgers had managerial experience. These guys, Martin O'Neill with all his time.
Roberto Martinez, who's been, but then Jens Bertholascu, that people are, he's been touted as a kind of potential favourite. Well,
a similar thing that was spoken about Jens Bertholascu, it's been spoken about with Jens Bertholascu. It's a totally different game, losing 2 or 3 matches in a row at Motherwell than what it is to losing them at Celtic. You look, the world caves in if that happens. Craig Bellamy would have to deal with that side of it.
Yeah.
He hasn't been in that position before. Yeah. So is he the perfect fit? No one's a perfect fit. Would it be a gamble? Yes, but let's face it, most managerial appointments are a gamble. So I like the way his team try and play, and I love the way his players talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that's the biggest thing. They seem to be all in. Talking international football.
Yes.
Steve Clarke, not happy.
No.
A boon from the top army. Wasn't he happy after the defeat to Japan? And then there was a bit more unrest.
Yeah.
In the midweek game against the Ivory Coast.
Yep.
Is any of that justified, Gavin, or what do you think?
I think the first thing we have to be clear on is that, I think a lot of sort of players coming out and saying, that the fans are booing because they lost a friendly or 2 friendlies, as you say. And I don't think that is the case. I think there has to be a realisation that fans are voicing their displeasure because of what they're seeing in the performance. I don't think it's the fact they've lost a friendly.
Yeah.
Now, I'm still not saying that makes it right, but I think fans can't seem to get their head around the fact that players don't realise that that's the reason that they're booing. But having said that, I still think that, listen, and see if you've shelled out 40 quid or whatever it is, I think you're quite entitled.
Gavin, this is my point. See if you're going to play friendlies, let fans in for a £5.
Yeah, exactly. Or play them behind closed doors. See if you don't want criticism. You can't charge fans £40 travelling from all over the country.
This is the point.
Exactly.
I think you've struck on absolutely the key point, Gavin. This is the thing. If you're going to have international football and then you're going to have managers and players tell you afterwards, it doesn't really matter. We're just testing some things out for. Well, if it doesn't really matter, why are you charging the same as for a competitive game?
Exactly. And so,
if all the fans are, I'm being ridiculous here, but if it was fans for £1 last week, people wouldn't have booed.
Yeah.
The manager comes out and says, "Oh, we're trying this, I was trying him." Done that.
Yeah.
People are fine.
But I suppose the wider point is that Steve Clarke and this group of players, I mean, do they deserve to be criticised? I mean, I think we know the answer.
Modern
football. It is modern football.
Steve Clarke touched on it. It's modern football. You have managers winning trophies, and within 8 games of the new season, fans want him out because they're just not happy.
Yeah. But I think Andy Robertson was right to say it is the minority, and they're usually
I think
loudest.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm actually surprised the players are giving it so much attention. I think they would have been better just saying, "Listen, fans in the they're actually having a bit of a bite back. You're never going to win that.
Yeah,
you're never going to win."
Yeah.
But in terms of Steve Clarke, obviously 2 defeats hasn't helped. criticism, and there's this situation with his contract. He sounds as if he's exasperated already, being asked about it in the press conference. He did sort of put it out there. He put it out there, so I wonder if he's regretting that. But do you think the contract situation is going to become a distraction for a World Cup distraction for Scotland in the build-up?
How many players in the squad?
Oh, there's 55, isn't it?
Yeah, but what's the final squad? 26?
26, yeah.
I can't imagine in the 2 weeks before the World Cup opening game, a single one of those 26 players giving our monkeys about Steve Clarke's contract.
No.
Seriously. They're about to play in the biggest showpiece in the game.
Yeah.
Steve Clarke's contract will be
of
no consequence to these players.
And I think you make an interesting point there, Craig, because I do think we have seen this on many occasions here in Scotland and over European football, where once a manager announces that he's leaving or there is, a bit of uncertainty over a contract situation, it can have an impact.
Yeah.
But I think you make a key point there. International football, I think, is slightly different because they're playing for their country. It's a chance to play at a World Cup. And that's, whereas if it's club level, it's, am I getting a new contract? So players will probably be more concerned about it.
I think it's completely different. I don't have any concerns how it would affect the squad.
Remember Italia 90? I think Bobby Robson was going through the exact same thing. In fact, I think he was told before he was going, his contract wasn't being renewed, so he's going there, and it's his last tournament, and they go all the way to the semi-final. They had a magnificent tournament. So I think that's probably... I think
the problem is, listen, I see both sides of this. If you're at the SFA and you go and hand out another campaign, and then the tournament goes badly, as the last two tournaments have gone, they've put themselves in trouble. I don't really see the point.
So do you think he's
the only person who would, and I've said on Hotline Live, Steve Clarke's entitled to expect maybe a contract to be sitting there to be signed because he's taking Scotland to 3 tournaments out of 4. So I do see both sides of it. But I don't see how it's going to affect anyone.
No. But I do. No, I agree with you, but I do wonder whether... So, I mean, it completely hinges on how they perform at the World Cup then, from the SFA's point of view. You think it's, those 3 games or more determine whether he is or isn't the right man? Is that?
Well, does that tell you a story then? Because I don't think that it should hinge on that.
Because that tells me the SFA have made their mind up.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah, but if
it didn't hinge on that, the contract would already be handed out, wouldn't it?
So if that is the case, are you almost better doing what England did with Bobby Robson in 1990 and just saying, listen, thanks a lot for doing what you've done, but by the way, we're going to move on at the end of this tournament? Or do you think they would worry that would...
I think they're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
Don't come out and say that Steve Clarke's not going to be there, because that's going to create bad feeling with some people. And you're going to say, those players love Steve Clarke, and now they're not going to run now. They know Clarke's... Yeah. You're just asking for trouble with things like that. Just leave it as it is. It's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Listen, talk about the World Cup.
Yeah.
Some big stories this week. Countries qualifying that we weren't expecting. The playoffs took place. I mean, what grabbed you? What was the one that excited you more than when you looked and saw, I cannot believe they have qualified, or I cannot believe they didn't qualify? Or
do you know what? There was so many of those feel-good stories.
I thought Bosnia was the best one.
Yeah.
I have to say, just because of what happened with the Italian players.
Yeah.
If anybody didn't see this, I don't know whether you saw it, but Bosnia played Wales on the same night that Italy played Northern Ireland in the semi-finals. Italy beat Northern Ireland reasonably comfortably. Mm-hmm. They were then watching, because they were playing the winners of Wales and Bosnia.
Yeah.
The game goes to a penalty shootout. The Italians have clearly decided that Wales are a far tougher proposition.
Yeah.
Bosnia win it on penalties.
Yeah.
And disastrously for the Italian players, spoke earlier about camera phones.
Yeah.
Somebody videoed the Italian players. I think it was the Spurs goalkeeper, Vicario was the main one, clenching his fist. Yes, as if. And the Bosnians went crazy about it when they saw this stuff, and they shoved it right down their throats and knocked them out.
It was, and the scenes were unbelievable. On the streets.
Obviously, I love when that happens.
It wasn't the first World Cup, but great scenes. DR Congo as well. 52 years that actually Scotland played them in Zaire when they were last there, and there was the videos of them middle of the night, teeming with rain. I thought that was amazing. But I think Iraq, 1986, the last time that they played the World Cup, and a great story with Graham Arnold. The manager there, Australian, had Australia at the World Cup as well, first Aussie to manage 2 different countries at the World Cup. A very underrated career, I think. Somebody who's flown under the radar, but achieved a lot. I think I'm going to go for Iraq. And they've got France, Norway and Senegal, so a tough group, but some story. 1986, as I said, when they last played, Saddam Hussein and all that, his son was accused of torturing players and all that, footballers and
Are they back in Mexico
sports.
again in their group?
I don't know if they're playing in Mexico, but that
full
would
circle
be
moment.
that would be full circle, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, some great stories, and it just shows you what football means, doesn't it? To people, see when you see some of these things. In fact, do you know what the saddest thing of all, Craig, is? It see all those videos of these people, fans out celebrating. None of them will be able to afford to probably go, given the price. I mean,
There's an entire game on.
That's the saddest thing.
Section of its own coming up, I would have thought.
But what about, are you feeling more or less confident about Scotland's chances after those 2 friendly games that we spoke about?
I don't feel any less confident there. I mean, listen, we just go back to the fact they are friendly games.
Yeah.
I would like to have seen a little bit more experimentation, to be perfectly honest with you. I think some players could have got some more minutes.
Lennon Miller.
A few guys played who we know what they can do. If we're going to dress these up after the defeats and say it's about learning, then listen, I'm not going to sit and argue with Steve Clarke. There might have been something he was working with in game in terms of these players. It's something he's trying out. I mean, he hasn't just wasted the time. We all sit here and say, well, you know what this one can do and you know what that one can do. Why is he playing? But there might be things in game he's trying to do, he's trying to instill into them. So he wouldn't have been doing it for nothing. I'm not less confident, Gavin, just because we lost 2 friendly games.
I'm actually less confident because I was keeping an eye on Haiti.
Yeah, they apparently did okay, didn't
well,
they?
I know, I was thinking, surely, it took a late goal, I think, from Tunisia. They got a late goal. An early goal.
Yeah.
They only lost by a single goal, is what I meant to say. They got a late goal themselves in a draw with Iceland, and I think this game, I was just hoping that they were as bad as people are making out.
Gavin, it's everything Scotland don't want.
Oh, I know.
They have to go out and attack the
fear.
game. They have to go out and attack the game and play in the front foot, and that's not Scotland's
It's
strength.
just giving me the fear. There's all this talk of Morocco and Scotland in a shootout. I saw Emmanuel Petit earlier this week saying it'll be Scotland and Morocco, for second spot. You're thinking, well, how much does he actually know about Haiti? He might know more. He might know more.
But an expert.
And then I was looking yesterday. I just saw a big table, and it was like every now the lineup was completed. All 48 teams ranked. There was Haiti right at the bottom, 48th, and I'm thinking, oh no. You just, I can just see the heat and the sweltering heat, a 0-0 draw to open it. It's going to be.
It just takes you back to Costa
Well,
Rica.
obviously,
None of us can forget that.
I know, but we haven't really put on a really good performance. Scotland. It was an epic night. Yeah.
Listen, Gavin, who's going to win it? Who wins? Who wins the World Cup?
Well,
who wins the World Cup and who's the biggest dark horse?
Dark horse. Well, Spain are favourites. I think they had a flawless qualifying campaign. I think France look at a different level from the rest, but it's going to be all your usual suspects.
The usual suspects.
They'll be there or thereabouts. So a red hot tip is I prefer you and I. You're a betting man. You're a good betting man. I love the dark horses.
And as you can see, I'm still here, so I'm not that good at it.
So I'm going to go. And I remember the last time the World Cup was in America, 1994, and I always remember there was loads of hype around Colombia.
Yeah.
Colombia with a team, and then they flopped. I think they finished bottom of their group.
Yeah.
But they'd actually topped their qualifying group ahead of Argentina. But real letdown. But I'm going to go for another South American team this time. I'm going to go for Ecuador. Now, there was a 300-1 winner at Kelso, which you probably
I didn't bet.
noticed the other day. No. So how do you like Ecuador 100-1?
Yeah. They've got a good team, Gav. And Estepinian
and they topped
AC Milan
top to qualify.
Caicedo and Chelsea.
Yeah,
and did they top the group or did they come second?
I think they topped it.
Did they?
I'm sure I checked it.
Because I think I had. Please let us know whether we're right or wrong. I was I thought they might have been sick because they got points deducted, didn't they?
South America.
At some point, did they get points deducted?
Keep talking while I check it.
I think they may have had points deducted for a player, unless I'm getting mixed up with the countries. I think there's a player who.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah.
It was Argentina. My apologies.
Yeah,
Maybe they did.
I think they finished above Brazil and Uruguay despite having 3 points deducted. Mm-hmm. So the results in the section was good.
Right, okay.
Were good, you know. They get guys playing at good levels. Caicedo at Chelsea, as I
Yes,
say.
due to a document which contained false information.
That's what it
I
was.
think you're right.
It's a weird one, eh? False information.
Yeah, so there we go. But
I like Japan as well.
So it's Ecuador for me. Japan
As well.
they've
Now,
been improving all the time.
is that a bit unfair to call Japan a dark horse? Because everybody knows about they've qualified for so many of the last few World Cups.
But they've not been beyond the last 16, so to go on.
But they were terrific in that last World Cup in
were.
Qatar. They beat Spain, they beat Germany.
But
they
lost to
should
Costa
have
Rica,
beat,
I think.
Yeah, they should have beat Croatia in the last 16, got knocked out in penalties.
But I think that's their problem. I think they do well against the bigger ones, and then...
Yeah,
but
I think they might have a better team now.
But if they can put it all together...
Yeah, I think they could be the real dark horse. And they've been talking for years about Japan making the real breakthrough at the highest level, and I think they may.
They set themselves a target to win it. One of these kind of initiatives.
They did, didn't they?
You know, we always
but
do
did they
that.
not give themselves 100 years or something?
Yes, they did.
That sounds like one of those SFA blueprints.
Yeah.
You'll see the benefit of this in 100 years.
Like Mark Vorta, and then he's long gone by the time he goes around.
Yeah.
Can't blame me. Anyway, so a big weekend of men's action, Craig, in the Scottish Premiership, as we touched on earlier, and the SWPL is also hotting right up. And so we've got a bit of Easter Monday live football action as Celtic Rangers
Rangers, man, doesn't it?
go head to head. So, no, we're used to...
Rangers lost that cup final last week.
Well, they did, but interestingly... and I think that was very interesting because obviously they lost to Glasgow City, and then in midweek, Rangers... You'd be expecting them to have the hangover. They beat Partick Thistle, albeit I think they kind of ground out the win. And Glasgow City lost. So
That's what I lost to Hibs, didn't they?
Yeah. So we're used to thrilling last day finishes in the SWPL, and it looks like we're right on course for one of the most fascinating ones. You've got 4 points separating the top four. So
Hearts could do the double.
Well, yes, that's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
That's
We're
big.
talking
Unbelievable
about
they did that.
what an achievement as a club to win the men's and the women's. So Celtic, obviously, they lost 4-1 to Hearts in midweek, so that was a bit of a shocker. So they're under pressure to bounce back.
Yeah.
I think, to be honest, if they lose to Rangers on Monday, I think you could be talking about could be title hopes.
You're probably looking at maybe
over.
whichever one of the teams loses, it could be a kind of a big blow at them, a massive blow. Celtic more so giving it.
Obviously, Rangers winning in midweek.
Yeah.
You're expecting them to go into, obviously, with the psychological man. Celtic losing 4-1 to Hearts.
But it's all the stuff we
They're
spoke
gonna
about the men's league. There's now stages of pressure on these games and different strains for players, different concerns and worries about, it's so tight at the top and one mistake, one slip, and then you start to see where it becomes more about character than actual ability for a lot of the players,
Exactly.
And I think that was the thing about the Rangers Cup final last week. I mean, I think they didn't look as though they had the steel maybe that they needed to have to get over the line
and
get that win.
We know in this fixture just how much the psychological advantage can play a part. And I think it might be 10 games since Celtic actually last beat Rangers. There seems to be something in this game. There seems to be a mental block. So big challenge ahead. Should be a good one.
Should be a good crowd there Monday, Easter Monday. It should be good. I would expect there'll be a lot there. Be good.
Right now, Craig, you are our man. You are a man of many talents. So I think the last two questions, hopefully you can help us out. Tiger Woods making the headlines again for all the wrong reasons. Do you think we'll see him on a golf course again? Of course.
No, I don't think so. Not in competitive golf.
I suppose people would probably make the point that has he really been competing seriously for a long time? I mean, his time's gone. Do you think actually?
Not really. I think the whole thing's sad, to be honest.
That's what I was going to say.
I think the whole thing's sad.
Do you think I mean, we're actually saying, do you think you'll see him back, in golf? I mean, I suppose, some people might be quite right. Listen, well, he shouldn't actually be allowed back, when you consider, I mean, is this the fourth time he's had it?
No, and I saw
Sir
Nick.
driving offence.
Yeah, and I saw Sir Nick Faldo made some very strong comments earlier in the week because he saw the statement from the PGA and the PGA Tour, and we all know what's happened and how Tiger Woods is such a big face for it, and the sort of new building of that to go against the Live Series, and Tiger's almost untouchable in the eyes of some people. But as Nick Faldo said, he shouldn't be welcomed back with open arms.
No.
This is serious stuff.
Yeah.
And the statement from the PGA Tour was just weak, in the words of Nick Faldo, and he's right. We'll support Tiger. Listen,
Yeah.
I think there has to be a separation here. Between understanding that a guy's clearly not well and his issues and should be allowed to go and deal with them, but that's separate from golf, and golf has to be bigger than this. At some point they have to say, look, this isn't on. Nobody else would get away with this type of stuff. Nobody. And just because you've had the career that you've had doesn't mean to say you should be allowed to. If Tiger Woods is having to act in this way and take these types of medications or whatever in an attempt to get himself back to playing golf, then I think most golf fans would be happy never to see him hit another ball again. Yeah. Because what is the point? I mean, somebody could have died on that road.
Yeah.
Him or a passenger. I mean, that was a pedestrian street that he's driving down. Why has Tiger Woods not got a chauffeur? I mean, it's just ludicrous. The whole thing is just ludicrous. But I don't think he'll be back. I think this is it now. He needs to go away and fix himself. I've got absolutely no idea the inner workings of Tiger Woods, but it feels like too many chances have been afforded. You can understand because of who he is and what he's doing for the tour and the importance of that. Just step away and be an ambassador for the tour. And forget all the other stuff. Forget trying to put your body through. But the one thing I will caveat it by saying, I don't know how much of this medication needs to just stop being pain-free, full stop. Yeah. Never mind trying to play golf.
Yeah, I think that is the thing. I think that, I mean, I think that probably is an element.
But if it needs to be that much just to live day by day, why on earth are you trying to pick golf clubs up?
Yeah, true.
Give it a rest.
Yeah, and just finally, Craig, to round off, we know you're a kind of bit of a kind of darts man. Luke Lickler, world champion. You'd have watched it on Thursday night, their Premier League darts in Manchester, up against Gian Van Veen. Gian Van Veen. I was watching. I couldn't believe actually. You could see him getting frustrated. Yeah. And when he loses, he's actually going because he thinks I think it looked as if he was going to win. Blew it. Yeah. But he's mocking Van Veen and the crying eyes and what's here.
He was out of order.
I don't know.
He was out of order.
Think so,
Yes, I think he was. I think he was miles out of order. Gian Van Veen. I thought it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was against. Given the fact that's a massive home crowd, a Manchester crowd, he knows. Nobody will be for Gian Van Veen, and I didn't think it was. Yeah. I didn't think he should have done it. However, I'm delighted that he did.
Yeah.
Because the Premier League has gone flat. We've spoken about it on here. It's a bit. We talk about characters and we talk about a lack of rivalry. And since Michael Van Gerwen Michael Van Gerwen was the one who was going to put it up to this young guy and show the whippersnapper, and it's not happened. And Gian Van Veen's come on the scene. We've had Luke Humphries been slightly irritated by people who've been saying, Gian Van Veen's the second best player in the world now behind him. Luke's been getting annoyed about that. Luke Humphries. Gian got to the final at the Ali Pali. Everybody's looking at Gian. Came through the youth set up at the same time as Luke Littler, more or less. So he's the one. This is great for darts. Yeah. This is great for darts. And the thing is, Gian's so mild-mannered and...
Well, yeah, that was the other thing about it. I mean, the poor guy. Yeah. I mean, it's him. You could actually see his face as the game's going on, he's almost looking and saying, well, what's he all about?
Yeah, but I think... I can't say this with any certainty, but I've got a real feeling that Gian Van Veen might change after this. Yeah. Not change into a nasty, but I think he might get a streak in him now. Yeah. As if to say, I try to be respectful to people, and that's the way you're going to treat me? Yeah. Right, we'll see. We'll see when we go to Holland. We'll see when we go to Germany. We'll see how you like it.
It might actually take his game up a level.
I think and his game doesn't need to go up much.
No.
Because
but maybe he needs that. Maybe from what you're saying, he's missing that. Too much of a nice guy.
I think that's something that's been touched upon. Yeah. He maybe needs that killer instinct. And I thought it was brilliant when he came back, and then he hit the winning dart. Yeah. Straight after he did it, he didn't fold. It was just like, is that so? Is that so? Look, have that in front of your own fans. So, no, I thought it was great. I thought it was great for darts. And I think a Premier League is, in general is a bit fun, but I'm just talking about the whole overview of darts. Gavin Price is a fan's favourite now, but he can get riled up and get going, and he's playing brilliantly just now as well. If Michael Van Gerwen can get himself back, all of a sudden you'll get Littler, Humphrey's getting annoyed because Van Veen's getting all the credit, Van Veen flying maybe a little bit of nart, Gerwin Price, it could be brilliant. It could really, really be brilliant in the next couple of years if they all keep banging heads, keep arguing, keep fighting. It's great.
Brilliant, what a way to end. Craig, thanks a lot for your time.
Not us, Gavin. Not us arguing and fighting.
No, definitely not. No. So Michael will be back next week. He's probably going to spend all week coming up with an intro. It'll be funny. I won't be here. You won't be here. But I'm sure you'll love it.
Nope.
But thanks for listening this week, Craig. Thank you for your time.
Yep.
Don't forget to smash the like and subscribe buttons, as the youngsters say. Michael, type this.
Yeah.
And you can catch us on all the usual socials on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, Apple Podcasts. As always, fire in your comments, especially nice ones. And thanks again to our sponsors, NordVPN. Catch you all next week.